So it is the start, or so very, very close to the start of summer here in Colorado. As a teacher, that means my day job is going to take a break, and I'm going to get a couple months to do my own thing. And what that means for me is I'm going to have more time to work on my own personal project, and of course, I get to go biking. I love biking, I get to ride, I'm going to race some this summer, so I'm pretty excited about that. But that's not the point of this video. I want to take some time and introduce you to my personal project that I've been working on for a little while. And so as a little bit of background history, when I was a kid, elementary school, middle school, I fell in love with the game, the old game, Trade Wars 2002. I loved to play that game. So when my last project got shelved, I started working on prototypes for a game that could be inspired by Trade Wars 2002. And in that game, you owned a single spaceship and you moved around through from sector to sector, exploring the universe and trading. In that case, it was just three simple resources. You would trade them back and forth between ports. Once you had enough money, you could colonize a planet, you could create your own planet even, you could upgrade your ship, you could form a corporation. There was a lot of things you could do. And so that's kind of the inspiration for this game. So what you can see in front of you here, this is pretty ugly, right? This is really ugly. The UI is all default stuff. A lot of the art is still Unity primitives. If I click on this goofy looking object over here, this is a port, which is quite literally just some cubes and spheres that have been scaled differently. But if I click on the menu here and I click trade, it's going to open up some menus that have got some more functionality here. And so the idea here is, again, harkening back, being inspired by Trade Wars 2002 is I have resources and items and commodities that I can purchase and I can sell. So I can say, purchase this here, I can drag this over here and sell that like so. Or maybe he doesn't want that thing, he doesn't want that, he'll buy that one. And so what I've got here is I got this buy and sell, and so if I go to different sectors, for example, if I want to go to, say, Sector 5, I type in 5, and I warp to Sector 5. And you can see that I'm going through all these other sectors, and again, they're pretty basic, they look very similar. And when I get here, there's another port here that may have better prices for me. I may be able to sell my commodities, my items, at a profit. What I can also do is come down here to a planet, and if I click on trade, I can see here that there's no colonists here. There's nothing to trade with. But because I've been playing around with this game, my ship came stocked with colonists. So I can drop off colonists, and now there's colonists there. There's a demand for, you can see there's demand for food and a demand for clothing. So I can drop off my food. You can see that they purchased that from me, and they're going to consume that. So the planets are functioning as a resource sink. I can also come down here to build industries, and again, I've just been playing around with this, getting the basic functionality working. I can build, say, an aluminum mine. And as that aluminum mine functions, it's going to produce aluminum resource for me. Now, I own this aluminum mine, so those resources are going to be mine. I can do whatever I want. I can come pick them up and sell them at the local port. So when I got to this point, I realized that I had a poop ton of content to create to make this game come to life. I needed to create all these resources. I needed to create manufacturing recipes. I needed to create new ships so you could upgrade your ships. I had to create AIs. I had all this stuff to fill in this universe and make this universe come to life. And as I was walking down that path, I started to create the AI that was bumping around the universe. They were trading at different ports, maybe stopping at planets. And I began the process of saying, okay, now I want to have a little bit of combat with the player and the AI potentially. And so as I started to develop that combat system, I realized that, hey, this combat itself could make a fun little mini game. And so that's what I want to show you next. What I've been working on primarily for the last 6 or 9 months, and again, very part-time, very part-time, just a few hours a week, I've been working on is a sort of an arena-style combat system with procedurally generated AI and the ability for the player to build their own ship. So I've switched scenes into what I'm loosely calling the arena scene, and you can see this is a lot more polished than the previous scene, because this is what I've been working on for the last 6, maybe 9 months. What you can see in front of you is procedurally generated spaceship. Every time you start up the scene, you get a slightly different ship there. And you can also tell in the bottom left here, I haven't named the game yet, kind of loosely calling it game number 3, working with a few ideas, but haven't really found something that I really like. So once you start a new game, you get brought to this scene here. And this is a scene here where we're going to build our own custom ship. And we're going to do it module by module. It's step by step. And so what you got up here at the top are the menus here with the different types of modules. So we're going to start with a basic structure, and I can build my ship and just add these on. And it's giving me an indication here of where I can add my modules. So if I got enough of those, then I could come over here to some weapons. I could add in a laser beam. These are pretty ugly at the moment. and some of the modules aren't quite assigned correctly. Some of these are just placeholders, as you can see right in the menu needs to disappear. It's still very much in the prototype, trying to get it working stage. Once I've got some weapons on there, I can come in here and add some more engines. Let's add a couple of those because they look kind of cool. Let's go over here to miscellaneous, and over here I've got my cargo, I've got my shields, I've got some other things that I could add in. So I could add in a reactor, which looks the same as one of my other ones. Apologize for that, just a little bit of a fluke. Could add in some fuel. It's got some fun blinking lights. Could add in some cargo. The cargo's not necessarily going to function a whole lot here in the arena area, but you can see in the previous game when you want to haul stuff back and forth, when you're trying to build up your economy, build up your corporation, that it's going to be pretty crucial. So once you're done building your ship, you can press finished over here, and it brings you up to this really ugly scene here. And this has not been polished at all. I hope that's pretty obvious. What at the top you got is some tournaments that you can enter, but those are locked right now. Those are going to be locked based on your experience, the size of your ship, the power of your ship. But if you look down below, you can see some ships. These are individual ships. You can just have a one-off combat. You can just fight this guy to earn some money, earn some experience, and potentially unlock a tournament later. So let's click on one of these. And you can see what's happening here down here at the bottom right is that the AI is powering up their laser to shoot at me. And so let's do the same. I can power up my lasers, and I can shoot back at this guy. And hopefully at some point here I can do enough damage. You can see if I hover over there, you get a little bit of information on the module. If I can do enough damage to this guy, there we go. So now his laser is non-functional. You can see it's turned off and it's been repaired, so it's up and going again. But this is the main idea here. This is the idea here behind the combat. You got ship on ship. That's it. You're not flying around. So the round can be over. Either there's a time limit, and or there's going to be other mechanics that are going to let you either warp out of that combat to run away. That's what your engines are going to be used for. Or the AI itself is going to decide, hey, I'm so damaged, I'm out, I'm done, we're over. Once you do that, you collect your winnings, you get some more money, and you're able to go back and build your ship to be bigger and better. So switching scenes once again, I want to show you the last big thing that I've been working on, and this is something that I've been fine-tuning the last couple weeks, and that's this ship generation scene here. Now what this is just kind of a testing ground for the algorithm of how do we generate these ships. And what you can see here is we've got kind of a boxy ship, it's fairly random. The idea behind the algorithm is we're creating random rectangles that interact and kind of overlap, and then deleting some of the crossover and trying to create some gaps inside to allow the modules to get placed. If I press the random generate button, we get new ships. Each time it's different. And you can see here we've got a seed here. And what this is going to allow us to do, if we use the same seed over and over again, we'll get the same ship. So yes, it's random, but it's based off of a seed. If I move the slider up and down, I can control the maximum size of the ship. It's not exact, it's not perfect, but it does roughly help with the size of the ship. So what I've been working on recently is taking out some of the true randomness of this procedural generation. Procedural generation is fun, it's interesting, it can make some really cool stuff, but if everything's truly random, it doesn't actually look very good, it may not even work very well. So what I've been doing here is for each of the modules that are really crucial as to where they go, I've been working out a scoring system of where to get placed. For example, the engines. I don't want all the engines to be placed randomly. I want them to be at the back of the ship, but I also don't want them to be all clustered to the left or all clustered to the right. So what I've done here is I created this function, this method, that takes in all these possible locations and then gives them a score so that the engines get placed in the highest scoring place possible. And in this case, what I'm doing is more or less just spreading the engines out on the backside of the ship so they don't get clustered too much. And you can see that happening here. The engines are more or less spread out. Yeah, they're kind of clustered, but it still looks pretty good. They're not in the middle. They're not just on the left or just the right. They're kind of spread out across the ship. So if we go back in here, you can see that I've been doing, again, a similar thing for the shields. And in this case, I'm looking at where are the reactor modules, where are the weapon modules, and those are places I want to put my shields. I want to put my shields near the reactor modules, near the weapons. But on the other hand, I don't want all my shields protecting the same reactor. So down here, I'm also looking at where are all the other shield modules so far, and taking away from the score or reducing the score of that location based on it being too close to another shield module. So that has the effect of spreading out the shields across the ship, but still protecting the reactor and the weapon modules. So there you go, there's a quick introduction to the project that I've been working on in my spare time when I'm not teaching or I'm not making tutorials. This is what I'm working on. So I hope you enjoyed that, and until next time, happy game designing.